So Elon Musk had a very interesting poll on X where he said the IRS just said it wants 20 billion more money. Do you think its budget should be increased, same, decreased, or deleted? Now, Elon is all about the Department of Government Efficiency. He wants to cut as much cost as possible in the government, and he believes there is a lot of waste. And I can 100% tell you that he is correct on that. I used to be a government employee. The amount of do-nothing, lazy, worthless employees that work for the government, simply in my office alone when I used to work at NASA, was out of control. They could easily fire half of the government. I would say excluding the military, of course. But they could fire half of the government employees at all the agencies, and they would be just fine if they kept the ones that actually do all the work. Because there's some government employees that actually do all the work. I was one of them, okay? But there's this weird thing going on where, on top of cutting expenses, they want to cut the IRS. And let me tell you that that would be one of the most ridiculous decisions that anybody could ever make. The IRS, if it was funded even more than it was now, if it had the ability to do more audits, the amount of revenue, the amount of bang for your buck that you would get from a larger, beefed up IRS would be massively beneficial. Why? Because there is a F-ton of tax dollars that our government never receives from citizens who are cheating on their freaking taxes. And it's really not the corporations that do it. The corporations are large, publicly traded. They have auditors. They have professionals doing their taxes. They generally comply with the law. Not always, but generally, okay? Because they have more scrutiny. You know who doesn't comply with tax law? It's the average businessman or woman or somebody that gets paid under the table that uses various means to not pay the appropriate tax. And there's a couple ways you can do it, okay? I'm not encouraging this, but there's a couple ways. And if we beefed up enforcement with the IRS, oh buddy, we can make a huge difference in our government deficit because we could cut expenses in useless agencies like NASA. They should be entirely disbanded. Gone. There's so much waste. Cut a bunch of garbage, fire half the employees, keep the good ones, and then beef up the IRS. So you're attacking the deficit from both angles. You're increasing collections, and you're decreasing wasteful expenditures. And naturally, hopefully as interest rates come down at some point in the future, we'll pay less interest on the debt as it rolls over and it matures into lower interest rates. We'll be paying less clown government employees. We'll shut down useless agencies. We'll stop spending money on freaking garbage. And we'll also increase our collections. And both of those combined can have a significant impact. Okay? Now, when it comes to cutting the federal government, there's only so much you could do. So this is the spending so far for the fiscal year 2025. And how the government works is the fiscal year 2025 starts on October 1st, 2024, and it ends, September 30th, 2025. We're currently in fiscal year 2025. For some reason, the government doesn't use a calendar year because I don't know why. But we can see very clearly what some of the largest expenditures of the government are. Number one, Social Security. That ain't going anywhere. Okay? There's too many old people that vote. They want their little rip-off Ponzi scheme check. It ain't going anywhere. We'll probably raise taxes at some point in the future. National defense. We're a global empire. We're not going to cut defense. We're probably going to bolster defense. Okay? We have rising powers challenging us. We're going to spend money on defense. Health, Medicare, Medicaid. Oh, yeah. You think old people are going to give that up? Totally, bro. Interest expense. Now, that's something that I think we will cut in the future if rates come down. Hopefully they do. Because the reason our interest expense has gone up massively is because rates have gone up to fight inflation. But if inflation goes away or it moderates, which it pretty much has, hopefully, we'll see. Once the current debt matures and it gets rolled over, because most of the debt is short-term debt, once it rolls over, hopefully our interest expense will get cut. Okay, well, I guess health would be Medicare or Medicaid and other programs, and then we have Medicare separately. Okay? And then we have income security, veterans benefits, blah, 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 blah. But the big ones are probably not going to get cut. The only thing that's probably realistically going to get cut is the net interest. Maybe, hopefully. Okay? This is the spending so far. This is the percentages so far, and it's usually consistent. Now, the real problem is people not paying their taxes. Now, there's multiple sneaky ways, and I'm not saying to do this, and if I ever see this preparing a tax return, check out the pinned comment below. I do business and personal taxes. I'm going to make you frickin' report your proper income. Because you're a frickin' scammer and a thief if you don't. But there's many ways you can avoid reporting taxes. One of them is, let's say you get money through Venmo, and you only get $2,000 through Venmo, and you only get $2,000 through PayPal, and you mostly collect your payments in cash. Well, the government is not going to know that you received that money, because if you don't meet the 1099K reporting threshold, the government never gets a copy of the 1099K, which should be furnished to you as well by the payment processor. So therefore, you could take the risk and say, well, the government doesn't know I collected this money, so I'm just not going to report it. Or if you get payments through Zelle. Apparently, Zelle doesn't give 1099Ks. So if you're just getting paid, getting compensated as a business owner through Zelle payments, the government won't know, okay, unless they audit you and go through your bank statements. Then they'll figure it out, and then you'll get fined and penalized. But it doesn't matter. If you receive payment for work provided, you must report all income, even if you don't get a tax form, okay? And people freaking know this. What they do is they're sneaky, okay? And the IRS is trying to fight this by lowering the 1099K threshold. This is one of the many grifts that goes on. There's 100,000 different ways. Basically, when you prepare your taxes, you can put whatever you want on there for your business. You could make up expenses, whatever. And the IRS, because it's understaffed, can only audit a certain amount of tax returns. So if you're a total degenerate clown and you get $100,000 of revenue and then you just paste a bunch of expenses into your tax form and only generate $2,000 of profit, well, guess what? That's all the government knows, okay? Unless they audit you, and then they're coming for your cheeks because you basically massively underreported your profit by overstating expenses. So people, they understate their revenue and they overstate their expenses, and that makes them pay less tax, okay? And this happens frickin' everywhere. Now, the IRS has done some studies, right? So this is called the tax gap. So basically, the tax gap is what the true total tax liability of taxpayers is and what they actually paid. And you can see for the fiscal year 2022, or the tax year 2022, excuse me, the estimated total true tax liability was $4.6 billion, but only $3.9 billion was paid. That's a lot of freaking money. The gross tax gap is $700 billion. $700 billion. Most of which comes from people not freaking reporting. Let's see. The tax year 2022 gross tax gap comprises three components. Non-filing, people didn't file on time, $63 billion, didn't pay. Because even if you file an extension, your tax is due on the tax due date. It doesn't matter if you extended your taxes. You still have to pay the liability on the date that it's due. Ding, ding, ding. Look at the big one here. Underreporting. $539 billion from tax understated on timely filed returns. And most people get away with it because the IRS can only audit a certain amount of people. There are grifters out there who are receiving money for compensation and they're not reporting it on their taxes. And it's a huge amount of money. So you think if we collected all $539 billion, let's say we doubled the IRS's budget, tripled it, but we're able to get $300 billion of additional taxes, I think that would be a good payoff. Do you see what I'm saying, people? Okay, so this whole idea that we should dismantle the IRS because, it's because people don't want to pay their freaking taxes. They complain about the budget, they complain about this, deficits, blah, 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 and then they don't pay their freaking taxes, and it's not large corporations. If a large corporation doesn't pay its taxes, it's because they're properly using the tax law. Most smaller businesses are the ones that are the real freaking grifters, the real scumbags who are hiding their income. There's so many ways to do it. They're nasty. They're grifty. And I've seen it. Like, people are sneaky, man. So the Elon Musk poll that's saying we should, basically everybody wants the IRS to be gone is the dumbest thing. That would destroy the government. Because, like, if there was no IRS and there was no auditing, you could just make up whatever you wanted. And nobody would know. And you basically pay no freaking tax. The people that work at jobs, they would pay their tax because Form W-2 is, generated for you and it gets reported to the IRS. So the IRS knows about wages, but the business owners, the little sneaky snakes, those are the ones that are grifting the tax code. Okay? I know you don't like that. I'm a small businessman. Shut your freaking mouth. You're not paying your appropriate tax, you grifting scum. So no, I think the IRS budget should be freaking tripled. We cut garbage. We triple the IRS budget. And I think that would go a long way towards resolving the issue. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit like and subscribe. Do you think the IRS should go away because you're a grifter? Or do you think it should be bolstered? I think it should be bolstered, personally. Check out the pinned comment if you want to attend my seminar next Wednesday at 7 p.m. where we will master together the statement of cash flows. I'm a certified public accountant. If you want me to do your personal or business taxes for 2024, I'm a seasoned preparer with many years of tax preparation experience. See the pinned comment below. Check out my other grifts and have a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. Cheers!